Hello, and welcome to this lesson, which will provide you with an overview of the organizational engagement stage of change management. After you have finished this lesson, you will be able to, firstly, learn what it means to have an engaged organization during a change effort. Secondly, find out how to measure engagement during a change effort. Thirdly, learn how to create and deploy a communications and engagement strategy. And fourthly, identify the key levers to hardwire change during a change program. To begin with, let's remind ourselves of the change framework you covered in Lesson 1. The organizational engagement part of the change framework seeks to ensure that employees at every level understand the change that is needed and are sufficiently informed to handle it. This stage also seeks to identify and engage with the key stakeholders, including skeptics, and to establish clear lines of communication to the wider organization. The final task is to hardwire change throughout the organization, which means sustaining the change into the future. Engaging with employees can be very challenging during a change effort, with fluctuations in confidence and morale. A clearly articulated case for change should result in a confident, committed, and motivated group of employees. If employees understand and believe in the organization's direction and care about its future, then they will want to give their best. But if the organization does not make a coherent case for change, then the leaders will not secure employee buy-in, leading to low confidence and morale, and ultimately, change program failure. The framework to help engage your organization during a major change program has 4 main building blocks. The first building block measures staff engagement during a change effort. This is critical to prevent the program from going off track, as it helps to pinpoint employee concerns. Listening to employees, understanding their concerns, and acting on them will increase the likelihood of a successful change program. The next 2 building blocks focus on a stakeholder and communication strategy. This allows the senior leadership team to engage with the organization and involve the key stakeholders, communicate the case for change, and to build employee and team morale. The fourth building block concerns hardwiring. This ensures that change is sustainable and reinforced by the organization's infrastructure. It is where the organization embeds target outcomes of change into its systems and operating models, and reinforces new roles, accountabilities, and processes, and most likely, a change in culture. Let's now review each of these building blocks in more detail. The first building block focuses on measuring employee engagement during a change program. Here, employee surveys can help determine the organization's readiness, willingness, and ability to change. Surveys are best used before implementation to assess perceptions of the change leaders and of the organization's ability to implement change. Listening to employees and understanding their concerns also allows the change leadership team to take corrective action early in order to deliver a successful program. The survey should generally be short, say 15 to 20 questions, and web-based for ease of completion. The slide has an example of such a survey. In terms of survey outputs, if, for example, there was reluctance within a division to support the change program, then action could be taken to understand the root causes of resistance. And similarly, if, for example, middle managers did not buy into the need for change, then some compelling need for change communications could be tailored to the middle managers. Variations to the survey can be used as pulse checks during the program implementation at 2 to 3 month intervals to enable any new issues to be quickly identified and resolved. The next two building blocks focus on developing a successful communication and engagement strategy. This is critical to the success of any change effort because it helps to optimize the involvement of key groups and individuals, and also allow the senior leadership team to engage with the organization. It can also help to neutralize any rumors and potential disruption to day-to-day business. There are 4 elements to a successful communication and engagement strategy. Firstly, create a change storyline, starting with the case for change. Secondly, identify, segment and manage key stakeholders and influence them to become change advocates. Thirdly, plan and execute communications in a timely, efficient, consistent manner. And fourthly, engage with the extended leadership team to act as change agents and secure program buy-in deeper in the organization. Let's now look at these 4 elements in more detail. The first element in a successful communication and engagement strategy makes the case for change. Here, the change leader will clearly articulate the rationale for the change, combined with emotional hooks to engage the audience. This should create a sense of urgency and a feeling of passion and realistic optimism. The case for change should answer 5 key questions. Firstly, explains why change is necessary. Here, you need to balance logic and emotion and explain the organization's need to change. But it is also important to minimize emotional anxiety by turbocharging the call to action, for example, by demonstrating empathy with employees' current pain points. Secondly, the case for change should describe what is going to happen by articulating the core principles of the change effort with a compelling end vision. Here, it helps to visualize the key changes to be made and the associated benefits for the organization. Thirdly, describe how change will happen by outlining the key initiatives needed to tackle the impending threats. Fourthly, the case for change should outline what the change will mean for each individual employee. And lastly, the case should explain when the change effort will happen and what kind of benefits can be expected in the short, medium, and long term. Ideally, the case for change needs to be embedded in every communication opportunity, such as town hall meetings and internal emails regarding the change effort. The second element in a successful communication and engagement strategy is to identify and engage with key stakeholders. Change leaders need to identify the individuals and groups that will play a critical role in the success of the program, such as opinion leaders, key information holders, and those facing risks due to the changes. Once identified, the key stakeholders should be assessed and prioritized in terms of how critical they are to the success of the program. Action plans should be put in place to proactively manage engagement with the highest priority stakeholders in order to harness their support for the change effort and neutralize any opposition. The stakeholders can be mapped on a 2x2 matrix, showing their importance to the program's success. You should put influencing strategies in place to build engagement with major skeptics, particularly during the program design phase. Individuals and groups identified as change agents and change facilitators can also be used to influence others, particularly the skeptics. The third element in a successful communication and engagement strategy is to develop a well-structured approach to communicating with employees and key stakeholders. Often, a tough message must be delivered many times before it sticks. The slide shows the progression of responses as change messages begin to stick. For change leaders, communicating frequently and consistently is critical. A well-structured communication plan will lay out the target outcomes, such as how you want employees to think and feel as a result of the communication. It will also include the preferred method of communication, such as employee meetings or a dedicated intranet site, and the audience you wish to reach, such as all employees or only certain groups, such as departmental heads. Timelines and the cadence of the messaging are also important, including the flow and rhythm of messaging to specific audiences. A feedback loop with some key measures of success, such as the reach of a particular messaging campaign and how it was received, allows change leaders to adapt the plan for future success. The fourth and final element in a successful communication and engagement strategy is to pinpoint change agents in the wider organization. These are influential and respected individuals or groups found at various levels in the organization and can be powerful advocates for communicating change to middle managers and their direct reports. When such individuals or groups are resourced with the right tools and information, then they can lead and reinforce the cascade of information about the change program. They can also offer additional channels of support for staff and provide feedback to the change leaders. In our framework to help engage your organization during a major change program, the final building block concerns hardwiring change. This is where the change leaders cascade new behaviors and foster employee ownership of the new changes. The cascading is not simply for communications, but also as a mechanism to help hardwire change in the organization. In practice, managers at each layer in the organization become responsible for designing, communicating, and implementing the necessary changes. The aim here is to embed the target outcomes of change into organizational systems and operating models via new roles, accountabilities, and processes, and also in the organization's culture. In order to hardwire change, changes to HR infrastructure and processes are often required. For example, adjusting people's roles, redesigning processes, updating the organization's hiring policy, and altering the promotion criteria for employees. To summarize this lesson on organizational engagement during change programs, it is vital that employees believe in the vision for change, are confident in the feasibility of the change program, and that leaders are committed to it. The framework to help engage your organization during a major change program has four main building blocks. The first building block measures staff engagement during a change effort. The next two building blocks focus on a stakeholder and communication strategy, which ensures that change leaders involve the key stakeholders, communicate the case for change, and build employee and team morale. The fourth building block concerns hardwiring. This ensures that change is sustainable and reinforced by the organization's infrastructure. Thank you for participating, and see you next time on another exciting business training lesson from Pontema.